Gavel. I have a
Say.
home.
We're gonna call this meeting to order.
My side too.
Start out with a roll call, please.
Tim O'Connell,
Here.
Sharon Kelly,
Here.
Tracy LeBlanc, here, Rowdy,
Here.
Pam Garvey, here, and Justin Wood.
Here.
Everybody. Approval of the minutes.
Agenda.
Agenda. How's that?
I'll make a motion.
Second. Anybody see any changes, anything? I don't think came up and asked to move anything, so, yeah. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Now approval of the minutes from our September 3rd meeting.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from the September.
Okay. We have a second.
I'll second.
Okay. Anybody see anything to change or not? Hearing nothing, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Public comment. We have no public. We have no other supervisors here. So the forester's up.
Perfect.
Perfect.
In your work plan, you guys all have it from you. So this is a kind of a background. It's required for my forest administrator grant, so it's every year. It has to be motioned essentially to go to full county board approval. I believe we put it through the budget process or the resolution and for the whole budget for the county for next year. So yeah, so, and it's also a good, gives us good sideboards of what we're be doing next year. So, we'll go pretty brief overall. Let's kind of go down and highlight some of the main stuff in it. See, well, I guess one highlight in the second page there, we're 17,224 acres. So we added 42 acres this last year, to county forest law. With the acquisition and then that 2-acre parcel that we brought in, that was essentially a right of way. Going to forested acres, just a breakdown kind of what we have total. Just over 16,000 acres of forested acres total. And you can see our breakdown of the amount of stands, different timber types, and percent of overall forest types. It gives you a good snapshot of what Polk County Forest has on the landscape. And then just under 900 acres of non-forested. So that's your wetlands, tag elder, lakes, waterways. All these stands are inventoried. They all have age, size class, species composition, and also have a practice associated with them. This is just a kind of a snapshot off the inventory program that gives us reports like this. So, going to annual time standards, Paul gives it, with the DNR partnership, gives us a minimum of 473 hours. I believe he's exceeded that this previous calendar year. They're different fiscal year. So, I think it was just over 520 hours, somewhere in there. So thank you to Paul for the help there.
Did you get overtime for that?
Not out of our budget.
Okay.
Take down. I think they took money away from them for giving us too much. So yeah, thank you to Paul and the state for that. Timber sale planning establishment, estimated annual 15-year allowable cuts roughly, or this year is 425 acres. It varies every year based on how much we harvest. So that goes kind of into the goal of that and just continue to establish timber sales according to 15-year. Next, table 3, you can see our 5-year timber sale establishment. So it's just 2020 to 2024. We're not currently done in this calendar year, so that's why 2025 is not captured. That's just the history of amount of established timber sales that we've had per year. So 5-year average is 351 acres. Timber sale administration, goal number 2, I'll continue to administer all sold timber sales. Currently, we have 10 under contract. We'll have in the hopper for selling next spring. So if no sales hypothetically don't close between then, and we'd have 18. I foresee there'll be a few that get closed. So that's roughly what we have in the hopper. Forest reconnaissance. So Paul and I do inventory of all those stands that we kind of went on that diagram that we had earlier. We make sure that all those individual stands do not exceed 20 years of recon data. So essentially we're doing plots and updating the information of those stands. If no one's been there for greater than 20 years, this would output that we need to go do that. We don't ever let that happen. We try to keep it under that 20-year mark. So you can see that, roughly there's 2,500 acres of 16 to 20-year-old stands that we need to go in and do in the next 4 or 5 years. So, but yeah, annually, usually we do 1 to 1,500 acres. So we keep that in check. And that ranges from, young stands to 130-year-old stands. So just that we haven't physically been there or physically changed the data on our inventory. Go to the next page. The timber stand improvement. So this is essentially young forest and reforestation projects. We're going to remove approximately 50 acres of competing vegetation with hand release. So that's old planted stands, mostly from 2017 to 2021. That would be removing hardwood and brush competition from our planted trees. We're going to be doing 34 acres here shortly in the next month or two. So we'll continue to try to mitigate, take care of some acres every year based on how much money we got. So goal number 5, roller chop, approximately 50 acres. This is one thing we did this last January on some sites that had very poor natural regeneration. That they weren't planted or didn't have essentially we left too many big trees we had to essentially restart it right with the prescription that we had. So we left a lot of poor quality trees based on how it was set up and sold, and just essentially they just run it over. It's a 10,000 pound or 10 ton giant drum roller that they attach to a skidder and just level it so that we can set it up for prep for planting. So there's some sites that we've identified this year, probably 50 to 100 acres. We haven't dialed it in yet, but we're cutting 2010 and there's just very limited natural regeneration of scrub oak. So likely because it was heavy oak wilt and it never converted. Yeah, never came back. We saw them actually, we did a flight this year. I did a flight with the state oak wilt, and we could see it from bird's eye view. So just looked like a giant sedge field kind of. So we're going to restart that with the roller chop, and then we'll set it up for our planting regime roughly in 2028 that would be planted. So reforestation, goal 6, spring planting, 70,000 trees are coming. All these sites are prepped, and we'll be doing that next spring, usually in April. Goal number 7, just because we're planting that many trees, we're gonna bud cap that many in the fall. So the bud capping that we did from our 2024 planting was very successful to keep our deer off of them for a couple of years. So we continue to try to do that. So we have good survivability for 2 to 3 years. Forest protection, continue to evaluate essentially invasive species, support fire suppressions, monitor insects and disease. Obviously, we have emerald ash borer moving around. We finally got a hit on emerald ash borer in county forest, but it is the Apple River campground is actually and park is county forest property. So that was our first hit, but we don't have any up in Lorraine or McKinley. Yet, it will be there, but, Sterling even found, there's like 7 ash trees in a Sterling block, and right in the governor's corner, there's the one lone ash tree was peppered. And it's only what, 7 inches in diameter? It's a pretty young one. So they're finding it even where there's not much food. Very limited ash in that country. So what happens up north here in the next 5 years. County forest roads, we have roughly 7.99 miles of primary gas tax roads, slight uptick from a couple years ago, with some additions and connections. So we'll continue rehabilitating those roads, just kind of every year doing some maintenance. So we're getting them up to par now. Yeah, these are just kind of standard stuff that, that if they arise, right, land acquisition, if it arises, we'd bring it here. Surveying, we do get help by the county surveyor on some of our private landowner timber sales, which is really appreciative. He's got the most accurate tools to do that. Wildlife habitat projects. I guess I should have changed it to, there's an error right there for me. It's gonna be Diamond Acre now. I think I mentioned it maybe on some previous meetings, but we're gonna get fully funded for that wildlife habitat money. So we'll continue to put that effort towards jack pine regeneration. See, recreation, just continue to work with parks, improve recreational access and safety, administering grants, writing grants, and assisting where I can with them. And I assist with implementation recommendations from the trail network plan. Miscellaneous, I don't know if I need to go through that too much. That's just their standard stuff that we do every year. And then kind of last, just a snapshot of the roughly nine grants and that I administer with either for county forests or parks. That's about it.
Okay.
Any questions or curious on anything? Yeah.
Here's on one thing.
Yep.
We talked about total acres, 17,000 something. And over the last few months, we've talked about McKinley and landlocked forty.
Yep.
And years ago, tornadoes went through. And there's also a landlocked 40 in Johnstown.
Yeah, 16, or is that 160? Johnstown?
Johnstown's 200
Or
240 acres.
240, yeah.
Out there.
Yeah, 240 acre landlocked parcel. Yeah.
So my question is, I think I've been told, I don't know, but if state statute says you can't just sell it.
Yep.
It's like you got this whole piece of landlocked 40 that no constituent, nobody can use.
Yep. Yeah. It takes a lot to withdraw them, but the hopes is that we find an avenue, right? We tried. And if we can still.
Yeah, you were working on McKinley.
Yep. And I'm gonna continue, we'll continue to try to piece those all together. But yeah, you have to have a pretty good, what would it take for us to withdraw, let's say a 40? Probably to.
Doug, you're thinking about trying to sell it, or what's your?
I don't know, I just personally hate to see this,
Yeah, we do too.
any chunk of land sitting there that it becomes the neighbor's.
Yeah.
Hunting
It's their
ground,
compound, yeah.
whatever,
Yep, and it's difficult, and this Rice Beds Creek adjoins that parcel, also has a landlocked parcel that is attached to that county forest parcel. That's another 200 acres. So there's 400 acres there that the public can't use.
Yeah.
Between state and county lands, and basically we wait until we have a willing seller around the edge, if that ever happens, to try to gain access for the public. It's a difficult situation and very frustrating, right? For hunters that call me and say, hey, how do I get to this parcel? And I say, well, the snowmobile trail goes through there. So when the snowmobile trails are open, take your snowmobile. I mean, that's the only way in, essentially. And it's one of those things, but yeah, to be able to sell that parcel, we would have to be able to sell it, you have to withdraw it from the county forest law. In order to withdraw it, we have to show a higher and better use to the public somewhere else. So if there was ever a trade that could be made from these people, or again, it gets very difficult. And I agree with your frustration because it's been here 30 years and those are the same. So yeah, we can't even get there without permission.
And don't we have it? If we take it out, it's like 2-1 or 3-1 when we redid
Yeah,
that.
I'd have to look, see what we wrote in the plan.
It used to be 2-1 or 3-1 and we changed it one year, a few years ago.
We could replace it with something else. Yeah.
But if you take 40 out, you gotta put 80 in.
So yeah, if we, so we're to be able to sold, but we had some willing seller somewhere else is gonna sell us 600 acres that we could put in, then we could, remove that piece and sell it. I mean, it'd be very complicated, but so in the meantime, we just wait and hope that ownership around it changes and that there's a willing seller someday, or to sell us an easement, for recreation or whatever. We just wait.
Yeah.
Wait them out.
And I know, and everything would have to be aligned too, right? If you did essentially a trade or we're selling this to buy a bigger and better parcel, right? The state needs this. They're gonna make sure that better be bought, right? So then you have to match selling with buying. It'd be difficult for sure.
Just that tower in Sterling was difficult.
Yeah,
That's
that's only,
just, that took us, seems like forever.
that was what, 3 acres?
3 acres.
Yeah. Yeah, at least most, usually we can always find someone to help us manage the timber resources. I don't think we've ever been denied, right?
Correct.
So that's good. That there's some support there to always be able to access our timber. Johnstown really is just young forest because that was part of the storm. So it got salvaged with rice beds at the same time over 3-4 years. And so it's all young forest at this point. So in terms of timber, we probably don't have to go back for 35 to 50 years, somewhere in there. So,
All right.
yeah, you had something?
And I'm just curious, as far as the oak wilt and the emerald ash borer, is there anything that is being done, can be being done? I mean, it seems like there's always some different tree disease going
No.
through, and is it just, I mean, how do you mitigate it, or is there a mitigation?
Yeah, it's a good question. And honestly, the diversity one is, promoting multiple species, anything of contiguous something when we have a problem kills everything, or, if it becomes an issue. So that's part of our goal is to diversify our landscape. Oak wilt, there's a few different options. When you have like an active site, right, or an active tree, you could try to girdle and kill everything around it, around the drip line and more. Probably two times that, a drip line, and to try to it travels through the roots.
Okay.
So if you can try to isolate that spot, the problem with like Sterling is that you get constant oak wilt everywhere. So you do that in one spot, we stop it, and then all of a sudden a windstorm or hail damage or a chainsaw or whatever reason, right? They get a re-entry. So you're just chasing trees.
Right.
That's part of why we plant and we supplement, pine in those places because we can't grow no trees. And yeah, just breaking up that landscape because continuity of oak wilt anyway, that it'll keep moving. So say you had a half-mile ridge of oak in Sterling, if you don't do anything, it'll be gone within 15, 20 years, the whole thing. And then we don't have any trees growing. So we promote aspen where we can. We promote red maple. We promote different species and break it up. So in terms of ash, injections that you can do, right? You're talking like, I want to save that tree in my yard. And you're gonna be injecting it to try to reject the larva. It's very expensive,
Sure.
time consuming, and after 2-3 years, most people are like, okay, I'm done. So, at that point, ash is just better to have off the landscape to give them less food to move around. So that's part of, the next couple of weeks, we're gonna go into probably our highest valued ash component block, and we're gonna be marking that for selling next spring. So just kind of triage and
Sure.
following where our ash is up in Lorraine and McKinley and taking care of it where we can. So, and it's been here for 25 years in Wisconsin. Started in the southeast and it's just made its way. So I would say most forest landowners have discriminated against it. Not always, but have at least always considered not to have a dominant ash stand or a high ash component. So that's what we'll continue to do. We re-enter a 200-acre block, and anything that's merchantable ash is probably gonna go away. So it's all, and it's, like black ash swamps in the Northwoods, they're gonna be at risk for mass death. There's no trees other than ash coming back. So that's what's happened. They're killing the overstory and they're re-coming back as ash. And then that ash eventually gets to 3-5 inches and then they're getting smoked but they're finding some, what they call them, lingering ash, that there's geneticists and scientists that are trying
Just
to
kind of a
find
strain.
resistant strains, because there have been some that have lived, but it's like in the southeast, like 99% mortality of ash. So it helps, right? Like the diversity, like I was saying too, just say we have an oak stand, but we have an ash every 600 feet. That's a good thing, that they're going to have to work for it to get to those.
Sure.
So maybe if it's more blocked up and mosaicked, they'll have a harder chance to move through a whole block at once. But it's a little scary though, like the sterling tree. You're just like, how did you find that one?
Right.
Little hole that was there. So
Thank you.
yeah, I just hope maple and aspen, some of our dominant northern hardwood species don't get something new, right?
Right.
So just have, diversity is the key in my opinion.
Mhm.
I would say most forest landowners would say the same. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
So this gets moved to the full board for the budget.
yeah, I think we can do a motion to put in the budget process. Does that sound right, Shabana?
Yeah.
I think that's what we did last year.
I'll do that. I'll make a motion to put it in the budget process.
All right,
For-
second from Doug.
Does that go on the No.
Oh, it's on.
No, it'll be in the
part of
budget,
Budget part.
the form.
Budget book, yep.
Insurance.
Try.
Yeah.
All right, then. All the favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed? All right, the work plan moves to the budget process.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Tax deed updates,
Interesting. how
Anything.
complex that is.
probably nothing, huh?
See you later.
Not a lot, just, there'll be a legislative update on what happened at the state during Joe's, legislative update.
Oh, he's gonna wait for that one, okay.
Similar, kind of good news for counties, so.
Kinda. Okay. We're to the number 9. Final of the flat of the Trailside Terrace. So basically I have the preliminary and you took that word off.
Yeah, and some of the preliminary requires the contiguous building areas on there, but the final plat doesn't.
Okay,
So I took that off, and the setback lines, sometimes that can be more confusing. Things that what it's worth, because all those can change too, so.
and we did have county approval on the driveways, on everyone. Okay, so that was part of what we asked last time too, wasn't it? Okay. Staff, did any staff see any with that? Are we good to go? Are we?
Yeah, yep, it all looks good.
It's all good.
Yep, I had a couple minor comments and he's made those changes. So.
Okay. Does anybody else have any, notice anything from the other one or not? Do you have,
Yeah, I guess the only confirmation I wanted to make is that there was no covenants or deed restrictions on the plat. Okay. Because that's part of the review process is that they need to be on the final plat. So I just wanted to confirm that they weren't left off there.
okay,
And then on the preliminary, yeah, well, I recommended that they go to the town for complete the checklist since they didn't have it completed, and we did receive that completed where they checked that they do not request the soil testing for those lots, so that's
that was cut.
sufficient. Otherwise, yeah, everything else looked good from our review.
Okay. All right,
You guys are the final approver. Oh. Committee after today, and it will be,
yeah,
not go to come.
then it just needs all the signatures on
Yes.
the pages in the back, yeah. Be finally recorded. All right, I'll entertain a motion then.
Make
To
a
approve,
motion.
disapprove,
I'll make a motion to approve.
a motion to approve the final of the terrace plat. Doug seconds. Any other comments or anything, staff or anybody, nothing else? All right, all those in favor then say aye. Opposed? So that just goes to recording now, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah, Mr. Markey will take care of signatures.
Sure,
This committee and then
all right.
Mr. Henderson.
Number 10, how are we doing? We're getting there slowly, sure.
As you noticed, you didn't receive a
Huge package.
new copy, so yeah, it's still in the works. Hopefully we can start getting that finalized. We'll be out a couple weeks here for paternity leave, but hoping to get that to you guys. So,
Okay,
Congratulations.
do you think maybe by the October meeting?
This is
first?
October.
Or this is the October meeting?
October.
Then you're not ready, what the heck?
Yeah.
It's not his fault.
Should
Hopefully,
we shoot the first one in November?
hopefully the November 5th meeting.
Okay.
And then if we do have, substantial information and you guys want to talk about it further at a second meeting, one of those months, we can entertain that at that time.
So we're not going to have the October 15th one.
Well, you guys are meeting, but we're not going to conduct any business on the 15th. That will be a meet and go on the tour for the.
Forest tour.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we also have
be here for it, but it's too bad.
On the 15th of October,
No, that was November. That was
That's
November that the dates
12th.
changed.
and that's the 12th, yeah.
Yeah.
For the
All right.
county board.
Yeah.
Getting one.
That's one
ahead here, next up.
Right, that's.
He's
because of-
excited.
So Russian.
So is some of this still just work DNR type questions back and forth? I mean, you're still kind of.
That and
Or-
getting that document prepared for you guys.
Got it.
I would, if I can, Logan, the crosswalk between the old and the new, just trying to make sure that that's as transparent as it can be and accurate. I think, that's quite an undertaking.
Yeah.
Especially with, all of the information. Even if it's not a lot of change, it's a lot of reorganization and it just seems, it's just a lot of work,
Right.
administrative work to try to get that complete. So hopefully at the 5th, we can have something a little more shaped up for the committee at that time. Just in time for us to enter the next ordinance revision season.
We just never ended. We just kept going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We kind of
Yeah,
just gonna take a
it
while.
makes perfect sense why that was dedicated during the winter, because trying to get this updated during the building season is
Insane.
It doesn't work very well.
Yeah.
not very well.
Okay, well, good.
Challenges.
Number 11.
Or never know.
This is 12. We start with 11 and move into,
Kind of 11.
they go together,
Yeah, we can cover.
tie them together?
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, everyone.
Morning.
Well, here we are with committees and over with the budget. We're getting closer. Week. Next slide. Just look at the overview of the budget. This is going to be an overview of what was presented in September. Our total budget is $73.3 million. We have a deficit of 528 due to pulling some projects forward and using our general fund. The levy's at 23.6 on there. You can see the mill rate dropped 17 cents from last year to $2.50. Our FTE count is up 2, and I'll explain that on the next slide. Next slide. Revenue, $72.8 million, expenditures, 73.3. 500,000 pulling the capital projects forward for the recycling center to finish up that project and get all that equipment in ahead of time. Again, the mill rate declines about 17 cents per thousand with this budget. The FTE count goes up 2, and those 2 are from CSD that were funded by the state. They get those positions if they get the funding or the state contracts for those. So that's why that number fluctuates. Proposed budget allows investment in opportunities in our capital projects and moving those forward. Next slide.
Can I stop you there, Mo?
Yeah.
On the FTE?
Uh-huh.
So you're saying that the 2 FTEs only come into play if there's funding.
They get their state contracts.
So then if one year they get the state contract, there's 2 jobs, and the next year they don't get it, those 2 jobs go away. I mean, that's constantly in flux.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
This is our general fund balance. Right now, our fund balance is around $31 million. 18 of that is reserved.
What, can I ask a question? What does reserved mean in this case?
Don, you want
Yeah, so it's the 50%
Okay,
of the general fund expenditures from the previous year.
okay,
we set aside for
Yep,
policy?
So it's the target reserve
Yep.
carryover.
yep.
5.2 is previously committed by other projects. There's 8 million available, but we recommend spending that down $1 million for the 26 budget. So we're utilizing that plus the bonding. Next slide.
Oh, just, I want to go back to that gray one.
Yeah.
5.2 previously committed, so that's not in the undesignated fund, is it? What fund is that in? So it's designated.
It's designated as projects that are not completed.
I'm trying to, well, we had that 87% and that 5 was in there, so it is designated somewhere, so it's not in the non-designated fund.
Right.
It's a designated fund.
The amount that's available for spending is 8 million.
Is 8 million yet? Okay.
Next slide. Through 2024, our capital projects were all spent by those ARPA dollars. We're out of that now. We're back into our debt program on bonding, our schedule to keep our levy stable. 2026 CIP projects, we're utilizing 3 basic revenue sources, our funds, our general fund, the PTAG money for some parks equipment, portions of the recycling special charge, and debt financing, again, the bonding of 2.2 to keep our levy stable and our debt service the same. Recommended using all these
Can I ask a
rates for,
question about
Yes.
that? So when you say keeping the debt service the same, can we see at some point, here's what we owe and here's when this one's gonna drop off and here's when the 8 million from this building's
Sure.
gonna drop off and
sure, there's, let me see here if I got a quick copy of that. What it shows right now is, right now, our debt service is our debt payment is in our levy allocation. So if we don't bond, what happens is levy allocations drop with that debt service as it falls off. So if we don't bond, we lose approximately $600,000 in levy permanently, which eliminates our capacity.
well, it wouldn't be permanently, you'd get some of it back if there was net new construction next year, right?
No, the levy we lose permanently.
Yeah.
Net new construction will always move the levy,
Yeah.
but we lose that levy allocation because,
Lose it permanently.
because the only way you can get that back is if you continue to bond, if you bond outside the levy then. So that's why when we say keep on our bonding schedule to keep our levy stable, we keep our debt service at about $2.2 million, our payment, right? If we drop that
What we
payment,
pay every year,
Right.
2.2 million.
Right.
So it kind of sounds like
we're keeping
the
that.
state rules want us to be in debt. They want us to
It's-
maintain debt.
Right, it's one of the only levers we have to maintain that system to keep our capital projects moving. Otherwise, what happens with, if you, for example, if you say, well, we're just gonna spend this year all out of the general fund and we lose that 600,000 in levy. The next time we go to bond, without changing the levy, we're now down at 1.6 million. So that's our number now is 1.6.
But how
If-
much do we save by not borrowing? You know, but there's a cost to borrow too.
Right,
So over the 10 years or 20 years or how, because I don't know, like there's 2 point whatever million we're
Sure.
borrowing this time. How many years is that for?
well, what, typically we borrow on a 10-year cycle, it goes off 10 years. I mean, in 10 years, if we didn't bond at all, in 10 years, we'd be totally paid off at different increments. And what happens is, this is gonna sound a little different, as the interest payment on 2025 is $95.5 thousand, about $96,000. Bonding 2.2 million, it's estimated our interest is $86 million, or $86,000. So it maintains our interest and maintains that going backwards. So we save money by borrowing money. And
Interest
what,
payment, so.
right, what you don't want is if we don't continue on the bonding to keep our capital projects moving and going forward, you don't bond, levy drops. You want to do more projects, levy goes back up. Because you can always bond outside the levy for new construction. It just increases taxes instead of keeping them the same.
You can bond outside the levy for new construction, but you can't bond for improvement and and adjust the levy.
Right, because right now our debt payment is,
Correctly?
right, right now our debt payment is in our levy allocation, that 2.2, so we're maintaining it. And we can do that now until into 2030, where our capacity even opens up even larger if we want. Or we
Borrow
can just
more?
maintain it, and we could actually borrow more to keep the levy the same. Or we could still stay at 2.2, maintain that, and the levy will naturally drop at that point, but we'll be on top of all our capital projects.
When I was down at
Mhm.
the Wisconsin County Association, I attended a couple different sessions that, I went to all the finance ones that I could go to. And I talked to a couple of those presenters afterwards on the one when they were talking about unassigned balance funds. And they didn't believe me when I told them how much we had in unassigned balance. They said, that can't be. I said, I'm telling you, this is what it is. And they were shocked, and they literally didn't believe me. So it was, and then I talked to St. Croix County, because on West Central Wisconsin Regional Planning, I work with a few of those guys on that committee, and they thought it was very interesting too, that we had so much in unassigned and we were borrowing, but
You know, and that's why, you know, we're financially, we're very healthy, which is great.
yeah.
And that's why we're using a combination of spending down the general fund and keeping our debt service moving forward with that, so we can maintain everything as we move forward. That gives us, the board, the ability to have a resilient budget, not for just the next 2 years, but for the next future 10 years going.
So what do we anticipate that our unassigned balance is going to look like a year from now?
That is going to be, It's gonna be interesting right now, because we'll find out a little more as the year goes on with the unassigned fund balance, you know, because we have like grants from the dam project coming in and other things coming in, so that'll be a decision as we go through next year to see, because we don't want to inflate the general fund when we don't have to, so.
But if we don't borrow and we use more from the general fund, then we lose the levy.
Correct.
So
It is a balancing act.
makes sense to me. It's the
Which-
craziest thing I've.
Which gives the board the opportunity to keep the levy stable and borrow, and if our general fund goes up, that if you wanted to pull in more projects on road work or something like that, you could pull in more projects and get more done ahead of time to maintain that. What we don't want to see is the levy go into a yo-yo state. It drops and then it goes back up and it drops and it goes back up. We want to just try to maintain that as flat as we can.
So like by pulling the 1 point whatever million, say the million out this year out of the 8 million, what did that do to the levy? Nothing?
That didn't do anything to the levy. That reduces how much we have on the books, but it advances the recycling project to complete that without having to use bonding money to get those done at a future date.
So the whole thing then, instead of bonding, if we took that 2 million, additional 2 million out of that 8 million, I thought we were told then the levy would go down
The levy would go down,
because we didn't borrow, not because we took it out of the unassigned.
right? Because we didn't borrow, the levy will go down, not because we took it out of the general fund.
I was reading on the state's website too about how the levy and the mill, why would they make something so complex and so crazy?
It's called bankers.
Yeah, that's what it is, because
I mean,
it's all,
So what would happen if we took out of that, we got 7 million left, took $4 million and paid down the long-term debt? What would that do?
As far as paying off the debt,
We have debt. We're paying 2 million a year, whatever.
it'll advance,
Because we have $7 million. What if we took 4 of that and just said we're gonna pay it, our long-term debt down?
it would advance, it would, well,
With that
forgive me
short-
if I'm wrong, I'm gonna look at an accountant here, but
What-
we'd pay down our debt in a quicker time and then change our borrowing capacity on that. So if you chose not to borrow to pay off the rest, you're going to lower the levy and make your available.
So why does that lower the levy if you pay down your debts?
Because he's saying not, I think you're saying just keep borrowing. Go ahead, keep the bond,
But can't we pay
Right.
some?
but then
off?
pay some off sooner. So that should affect the levy then.
It shouldn't affect it, I wouldn't think. Should, I think.
We have a line that allows us to basically, in the levy, for the levy, cover bonding. So if we drop the amount that we're bonding for, then we can take less levy.
Yeah.
So that's when Mo is talking about stability in the levy,
Right.
other than fluctuations due to net new construction.
Yeah.
It's because we try to have a schedule that we borrow enough to keep that, it's about 2.4 we pay per year million. We try to keep that really steady. And so as we get done with projects, we have more capacity. If we don't use bonding and build more roads or whatever we need to do, then the levy is going to continue to drop. Then the next time we have a big project, you know, what I think Mo's been cautioning is the supervisors are going to have to raise the levy.
Yeah.
Which I think is, you know, an objective, reasonable objective is to kind of prevent against that.
And we'll,
But that's
And-
not what Kim's saying though.
I've
and
seen-
we'll,
You can keep the bond,
Keep the
keep
bond,
bonding, but then
but
take
instead
this
of
extra
going
money
10 years,
and
go
paying the
5.
debt.
Right.
So keep the bond. So we keep, you're still borrowing money. We're just, we're just accelerating what
So,
we're
okay,
paying
you're
off.
just gonna, you're gonna replace the money that you pay down with more borrowing. Yeah, then you're just paying more fees on the loans that you pay, that you're taking.
No, you're not borrowing more money because we have
We already
money
have.
sitting, we're sitting
Oh,
on
I
it.
thought you mentioned,
No, I wanted to take the 4 million out of there
right,
and put it on our payment.
okay.
But we're still gonna borrow 2 million, but why not, instead of go 10 years, why can't we go 5 years then?
Well, will our payment, loan payments drop then?
It should, shouldn't it?
Yeah, so the levy will drop.
If the payment goes down, the levy goes
You
down.
levy for the scheduled payments due for the next year. That's what you're levying for is,
They're connected.
correct.
yeah.
Yep, so your,
They
your
want you
principal
to-
and interest payments that are scheduled, you can't levy for anything additional, that above what's scheduled, but you're levying for what is scheduled for payment for the next year.
So you can't pay down.
No,
No.
not without a penalty with the bond.
Correct, correct.
Bizarre.
So they got you.
Bizarre, that's a good answer.
You know, it's just like,
Bankers,
it
because,
is. They
because what
they
they're
force you
saying
to
is
pay interest.
counties, we want you in debt all the time. We don't, is there a county
I
that
think there's
doesn't have?
another way to look at it, and it's that I think the legislature was trying to restrict budgeting for counties. So, there was a big movement 10 years ago
Mhm.
to try to tighten up finances. And this was the control that the legislature put on counties. And so if you're, like some of us here would prefer to pay less taxes, this was an excellent mechanism from that perspective. Because it really put a lid on what counties could do with the levy.
But just think if you didn't have any debt, how much money, you'd have $2.2 million every year if we didn't have any debt.
That's just a tool to get work done. I mean, right now, the rates are favorable. There's not much spread between what we can invest for and what we have to pay in terms of the note.
Yeah.
And so it's actually a great time to borrow. If there was a really big spread, we would be sitting here saying, we need to be super careful about borrowing, but there's not much spread. That's, we have the luxury of being a municipality, so we can, do tax-free kind of borrowing. So that's a great advantage for us.
And then that's why we try to stick to our 5-year CIP plan as we strategically put $2.2 million worth of projects moving forward and not have that big balloon one like an $8 million rebuild of this building or anything like that. And we're on that schedule now with not huge projects sitting off, in the future. So.
Could I bring up another subtlety? Another thing that's going on with this budget cycle is that we're trying to rebuild. Unfortunately, we have to rebuild our health fund. So there's an actuarial minimum we need to maintain. And so the budget for 2026, we actually have some money moving from the general fund, from the levy actually into the health fund because we're worried.
Yeah.
The past couple of years have been so tough.
Yeah.
That we could be below the actuarial minimum, and that 7 million will then start to, we'll have less if we're not careful, because ultimately the general fund has to write a check if the health fund is deficient.
But we're playing just with 7 million and we still have 18 to play with. If something happens, so I mean,
If you
the
decided.
sky
that-
has fallen, we got $18 million yet. So I
So-
mean, we gotta figure out either some
Yeah,
more projects to do or something.
That's how much, in your household finance, how many months of reserve do you want in your savings account?
And there's a lot of
So
people
that
with
17
1
million
million
is,
Too.
that's about 4 months for us.
Yeah.
And one of the key things the auditor said to keep in mind how financially sound we are with our budgeting practices to have a resilient budget for years is that, a lot of our neighboring counties and that are bonding at 20 to 40% of their capacity, and we're at 2.5%. So we're very conscious and conservative about what we're doing with it and what we're moving forward in the city.
So I know it's another tough question, but are we getting our maintenance kept up higher? Do we have a maintenance account?
Yes,
So when a roof comes in, we're not hit with 200,000. Do we
Yeah.
have an account?
yes.
How about the ones that we borrow from ourselves to buy equipment and do things?
That fund is still there, yes.
Okay,
And we utilize that fund.
because the maintenance stuff, I think it's like over I think we should move that up because everything we've put off in maintenance, we pay double.
And that's, in Public Works, the facilities budget, there's a line item for that maintenance to keep.
Is it going up
We keep it about 200.
in your,
It's-
is that maintenance covering
We elevated that to, I believe it's 250 in there.
a year you put in?
20,
It's just what's
220,000.
in there.
That's what's in there. We elevated that up. Otherwise, there was none in there a couple of years ago. There was no line.
And any maintenance was there for a while.
So. We're
So do
very
you think that's low?
defer maintenance.
You think that should be higher?
No, I mean, we try to do a pretty balanced CIP request compared to my budget. So
Okay,
we try to balance that out and there's times when, the last board meeting, it got brought up about $45,000 worth of carpeting, God forbid.
Yeah,
And,
2 places,
yeah,
not
and
just one.
so I'm trying to eat the elephant one bite at a time.
Sure.
When you have 25-year-old buildings, I'm trying to systematically go around and replace carpeting. Could I ask for 500,000 to do all the carpet? Sure. But, so I'm trying to do it just a little bit at a time, utilize my budget for some of those projects like that, and then the CIP mechanism for others.
For ones that are bigger, but I mean, for a car runs into the corner of the building or something, I mean, we got what,
Yeah, I have plenty
you know,
in my budget.
for that kind of stuff.
And then through my budget process, I look at, like the North Conference Room, the carpet is shredded, so next year I'll take that out of my budget, and replace that. Don't tell Brad.
Room, just that room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Not
but
anymore.
so I fund
But now we have a big one at the government center over there,
Justice Center.
Justice Center with the heat and chillers. I mean, we've got that 7. Should we move that up so we're not gonna pay 3 million for it? Like the roof went from 600 to 1.5. I mean, do we look at things like that?
We've been keeping a close watch with that with our vendors to see where that's coming in at. And we feel comfortable splitting that project currently right now. Like I said, we're gonna try to go out for bid with one project, just split it in 2 years. So we get that bid ahead of time.
But why wouldn't we do it in 1 year so that we don't pay that extra all the time? It seems like every time we split something, it just keeps going up.
Let's keep it on a plan.
But I mean, we have the money to do
Technically,
it.
anything we don't do next year is gonna be more expensive, whether it's a road or a bridge or anything else. And
Well, everything
we just can't move
goes
everything
up.
forward and try to get it all done in 1 year. And that's why we have the CIP
It
plan.
wasn't like that system all tied together. I mean, that's, to me, just seems like your heating cooling system is all one. Let's fix it all at once, not half and half. It's like we couldn't get a generator for a year in this. I mean, there's shit you gotta order years ahead for some of this. I don't want to get half done and say, okay, we can't do the other half for 2 years till it triples in price.
Right, no.
But I'm looking at on some of
Not our
these.
intent. Our intent is to do it systematically as the project takes time to do naturally also. It's not a quick 1 to 2 week project, it's pretty sustained and pretty intensive on there. So as we do design and get everything ready for it, it will encompass the whole thing. It's just the installation of the boilers versus the AC units will be just done in 2 different years.
Okay. I just think it ties together. It should rock and roll and just stay, not,
And that's,
it's like building a road to the bridge and don't
Right.
put the bridge in for 2 years.
and that's that,
Here we go.
that's that balance of keeping the general fund up and healthy,
Well, that's our 50%. That's,
but
we keep it healthy.
if in
But now
November.
8 over, we're almost 50% over.
But if in November, if you want to make that amendment to take another million out of the general fund to advance that project, you can do that.
I might do that.
Okay.
I think we should.
As long as we stay with the budget, the bonding to keep our levy stable is pretty much is the key.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But I'm saying we should be doing some of these, I call it maintenance. That's why I said, do we put it in a maintenance fund so it gets done?
And we could certainly do that if you want to advance $1 million or put that in as a amendment to the budget, the current budget, we could advance that project.
I would think we should. And, well, I would push for that. If everybody thinks that, I just think we got to start, let's pay for things before it gets worse.
8 million from this building, does that bond? Do you know off the top of your
Yeah,
head?
that's Mo mentioned, 2030. But
2030,
we have a significant drop off 29 and 30.
29.
That's this building. And I
Yeah.
think there's a little bit left, the highway. I don't remember exactly, but we can give you the graph. I think you're looking for a chart that shows
Yeah,
year over year. Yeah, we
Yeah.
got one.
yeah.
It was in our books, wasn't it?
Put it in we can put it in the budget for the board.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Right here. I mean,
That would be great.
when you look at it, you see, in 2020, 30,
That was in their
in
budget books,
2030,
Yeah, That shows.
our debt payment drops to $23,000.
Wow.
And we're totally paid off.
So we've
We're totally
also-
paid off of all debt in and 30
Is that in those other books? that we have?
Except that every year.
We're gonna keep adding.
We're gonna keep
Looking at.
Right, that's if we didn't bond it all.
Right, if we didn't bond.
Bond it off.
This is just.
He's looking at.
But we aren't, we hopefully
Oh,
aren't gonna have any more $8 million.
The notes to the
ones like we
financial
did here,
statements
because
also
you never
have the
know.
debt
Never
payment
know, which is-
scheduled
that's-
for everything
I mean,
through 2024.
Kim's
So not
point,
what was taken out
like,
in 25,
know what the
but
project
everything
needs to be
prior
done,
to
what
that. And then I have a
Yeah.
schedule for all.
For the future, okay.
Okay,
All right.
Fun stuff, yeah.
this is helpful.
And so just from a legal perspective, I'm not an accountant. So most of what they're talking about with the bonding, I don't necessarily know. I defer to them for that information. What I do know is that other states have different laws that allow municipalities to tax differently.
Yeah.
In order for us to increase our levy, we would need to pass a referendum and have people essentially vote to
Yeah.
increase their taxes.
Yeah.
As a person in Minnesota
Not doing it.
who has had
Not do-
referendums come through for a lot of different stuff, I vote against increasing my taxes every time.
Yeah. We had to
So-
do that at the town level.
Right.
So we could do roads because it costs you $250,000 to pave a mile of road now or whatever. It's probably more than that now. But we had that. And so at our annual meeting, we voted to do that and they voted for it, but there was only, 6 people. in the
Yeah,
audience.
6 and the rest of the 102, whatever thousand, yeah, they're not, for that.
They start calling us.
Yeah, they do.
The clerk gets to call.
Yeah, the clerk gets the
Yeah.
call.
Some experience with
There,
it?
there are a couple, there are some towns that do that, the same thing with debt service. They have loans out and when that loan comes due, they just do another project to keep that payment the same with that. So kind of the same schedule.
See, that's why I have, because the town of St. Croix Falls, we had 0 debt all the years I was on that board. And then we raised the levy so we could do more roads. And we still had 0 debt till they had to buy a new truck and then they had to borrow a little bit. But in essence, that's how we operated, 0 debt. So when I see this, it drives me nuts. But
It's lawyers and accountants trying to find a way for us to be able to function in a consistent manner so that we're not on the roller coaster, basically.
yeah,
And
Well, that's not even
as,
fun.
as Administrator Norby pointed out, it is very difficult to claw back once that money's gone.
Yeah.
To claw it back is
Yeah.
very difficult. So keeping it consistent is valuable. And that's what, trying to use legal and accounting mechanisms that don't make a whole lot of logical sense necessarily, but that's what the state legislature, that's the position the state legislature's put us in.
plus you have boards that change every 2 years and you don't have hardly anybody on the board is versed in what you guys know. So it makes it tough.
Tough to explain it.
Yeah, budget's not, sometimes it's not easy to explain. When you try to compare it to even your own budget and doing things and.
You ought to see, well, you do see the ADRC budget. That one's crazy. Okay,
That's for another meeting.
yep, it
Oh.
is.
Next slide.
Oh, we gotta get that word ARPA out of here, don't we? Is that the year 22 on that one? The first one, it says our capital improvement plan was funded by ARPA. I mean, we got,
Back in 24.
24.
we got till 26 and there was a line with ARPA money in there yet.
Yeah, that's because, as an example, HHS has some unspent money.
So does that have to be spent by 2026?
I wouldn't want to comment on the specificity of that, but I think that's generally correct.
So we gotta spend it this year. We got 2 months, like 268,000.
I want to reserve, but I think at the end of the next year.
It's the end of 2026.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Otherwise you have to pay it
I
back.
should look this up before
Yep, but I thought that
there's a fuse
the
on it.
state put some stuff in there and said, okay, if it's in there, you gotta pay it back.
There's a fuse on it.
Yeah, so, okay. I just happened to see that word, scary. Yeah, 'cause
This is the CIP, moving forward, how we're looking at, we try to stay on the schedule, vehicles, other equipment, road construction, as that moves forward. Next slide, the AFRs, these are the ones that were presented to the committees and the board. Next slide. Nothing's changed on this list. as that was presented to the committees and the board. Next slide. Same as this one. This is the same list that presented it to the board. Next slide. As item 11, there's been no technical amendments from the departments within this committee for anything additional to the budget. So status quo on that from the department side.
Be true.
So we start,
Questions?
so we start super early. So we're trying not to have.
Not to have too many. Okay.
One quick question on the operating AFRs. You've got the change in the 2 seasonal staff. I remember we talked about this, 2 seasonal staff to part-time. So 0.2 FTE to 0.5 FTE. Why does that not affect our total FTE count then?
It does.
But we've lost it somewhere else?
We've lost it somewhere else.
Okay.
Right. Well, the technical questions were answered so well, we can move on to. You're,
I enjoy trying to explain it.
yeah,
I do.
so now,
Some days.
yeah,
Just a little bit technical.
so what's your,
Yeah.
what's your up? Or is that it?
Oh, what's my update?
You are 13 too. You took all 3 spots. You just, you're eating this up.
Let's see here. Big announcement, the sheriff's department during homecoming beat the Unity kids in softball, 2nd year in a row.
Them bullies.
That's up, the sheriff's department on that one. Sales tax in September is up slightly. So we're still monitoring that. We're looking at, I'm gonna start the process of looking at getting a 3rd judge for Polk County again. Their caseload is probably 3 times more than other judges, so they're doing a case audit right now. The state is on that, so been speaking to the judges on what that process is, so you'll be seeing some resolutions come through on that.
So does the state pay for that then?
Yes,
Okay.
you know, we'll have some costs incurred for staffing, but it'll be recovered by state and to minimize some caseload, so.
Didn't we try that a while back?
It was. Right now, we have a court commissioner, which kind of hurts us a little bit in that because it takes some of the cases off our judges, but our judges are sitting at about a caseload of about 600 apiece.
Oh,
You know, and most counties our size with judges are sitting around 200.
oh,
You know, so our caseload is very heavy. You know, so we'll be seeking support from the board
District 10 is
that asking the board to seek
District 10.
with our electors up there, you know, Duke Tucker and everyone to support that for getting another judge up at Polk County. So we have the facility for it. We have the courtroom for it. So we'll get that case study back in November, I believe, and final results probably in February timeframe, hopefully.
I'm just curious, what does that look like for support staff? How many support staff does each judge have normally?
Is it 1?
So each judge has a judicial assistant, and they have a court reporter. Court reporter is also paid for by the state.
Oh, okay.
One of our judges currently uses the digital audio recording system, which isn't a court reporter, so it's not a person, it's not a stenographer sitting in the courtroom. It's a person, it still requires a person, but it's an electronic monitoring system and a person then monitoring what the electronic system is doing. It's required that there be a person either typing or monitoring.
okay.
So currently we have the court commissioner that is county funded. It's not a state funded position. So the county is paying for our current, we're essentially supplementing, paying for what the state should be paying for. And as Mo pointed out, we're being penalized for it because we have that counts as a judge in our county. And so the caseload gets split amongst the 2 judges and the 0.7 or 0.8 that we have for the commissioner, because that's the amount of work that the commissioner is doing for us. So if we had another judge, we would have another judge and we could obviously continue to fund a court commissioner as well. And we may well do that at least part-time to some extent, but it would allow the judges, because even though the court commissioner is covering hearings, those cases aren't the court commissioner's cases. If someone de novos or asks for a rehearing or something like that, that still goes to the judge. Anything that gets particularly contested still goes to the judge. And so, and there's a lot of stuff the court commissioner can't hear. So even though he's here 0.7 or 0.8 of a full-time position, he can't hear a lot of the types of cases that those judges are getting. So it complicates things and it overloads the judges. They have one administrative staff, but
But then the clerk of courts has to cover for them too.
right, then we have clerk time that goes in.
There's 2 clerks in there, 3, yeah.
So it's not going to be a big financial boon necessarily for the county. It's not like, hey, we don't have to pay a commissioner and now we just we're coming out $100,000 ahead. It's more the court system in this county is bogged down and we need something to fix it. Fiscally, it's going to be about a break even, more or less, but.
Didn't they assign one and then it didn't happen? About
So
9 years ago, I thought they assigned us one and then it fell through.
That's what I thought too.
District 10 ended up.
I don't specifically recall. What I do know is they do assessments every once in a while, and then assign new judges to counties that have that need. I do know that we specifically got dinged back when they did the last big assessment because we had the court commissioner and they said, oh, you know what? He's spending too much time. You guys actually, because they do a ranking based upon cases and the number of judicial officers you have. And so we got moved quite a bit down. If we hadn't hired the court commissioner, we would have been considerably higher. We would have gotten a judge.
Oh,
So is there a different district? 10, Scott Needham isn't there anymore. Did he move?
yeah.
Was it Scott Needham was the head of District 10 is what it was. So that's been a while ago.
Yeah, he's not the
He's not there anymore.
chief judge anymore. It's Judge Anderson out of Bayfield.
Okay. Scott Needham out of St. Croix County was, so it's been a while ago.
So there'll be more coming on that. So that's something we're going to be pushing forward with. Attended the WCA conference, had some great conversations with Supervisor Kelly and Supervisor Bonaprise down there, some breakout sessions, interesting information. And the only other thing I have on this is you already know that October 5th, you're going on a forest tour. So
15.
15.
15th. And I have the 15th marked down, which said the wrong word. So.
All right.
That's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, what's happening?
Sure, I have a few things to add, Chair. I also attended the WCA conference. The breakout sessions that I mainly focused on were related to zoning, a breakout session on short-term rentals, what other counties are doing, some interesting conversations before and after that as well, along with renewable energy, specifically solar and solar farms related to the Barron County project that is ongoing. Met Jeff French, their administrator. It was just interesting to see their process. I was not involved with the Apple River Solar process here at Polk County, but just reviewing that joint developers agreement and making sure that that developer is following through. They are nearing completion now. Their construction site at their last project update in September said they're 98% complete, and that in 2025, they expect it to be in service. So then in 2026, working with Administrator Norby, making sure that the funds that the county and the different municipalities are supposed to get are, sent and awarded.
Is that in the budget too then?
Currently, no, because that is an unknown number,
Unknown,
because
yeah.
it is up to $233,000.
Up to.
Up to,
Yeah.
so is that $1 or is that 200,000?
That's like my internet speed up to.
We're tracking.
Up to.
It's one.
Yeah, we'll be, so just investigating that. I also really appreciated at WCA, hearing the information that's presented to you all as the legislators and the supervisors, and then how it maybe relates back to us with boots on the ground, and, just how things are presented and maybe making sure that we can have that that tie back and forth. I thought that was a real positive takeaway. And I thought it was a well put together conference, and I'm glad I was able to head there this year. A couple other things we're tracking: the real estate document information. That's a legislative effort that we're still tracking on the real estate docs. There is a subdivision legislation, platting standards that I'm having the team review. It looks like right now there's nothing that would really impact Polk County. And also trying to really be involved with the NG 911 task force, and trying to encourage them to have an avenue for maintenance instead of just development. At this time, a lot of the counties have developed our NG 911 systems, and we don't get to always tap into the funds that they get to with, at the sheriff's department. So looking for like the GIS services and the MSEG and all the data that goes into that system, having some funds through a grant to maintain that. That's even another possibility yet, even for 2025. I'm looking at Don. Every little bit helps. So we're still trying to, look at those options. Land and Water Resources, they have soil competition up in Burnett County with the government shutdown. NRCS employees are not there, so we will be providing extra services for that. And then I believe Eric and Colton needed to even head up today to dig pits for that service. So that's going on tomorrow. They also participate in the educational event on Friday, October 10th. It's a fun one. It's with St. Croix Falls School District on Lake Wapagasset, and it's a really interesting educational event they do with 5th grade students. They're on October 8th, as far as planning goes, there's the municipal workshop for the bike and ped plan, and it's mainly aimed at the municipalities that have the bike and ped, connections and different pathways through them. So that's on October 8th. Also then on October.
Here?
I think it's upstairs. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
On October 23rd, I will be attending the quarterly Towns Association meeting again, talking to them, answering questions, getting any information for takebacks. Logan attended the last one with me. Was a long one. And finally, the only other thing I was going to mention is that you will be having a presentation on November 5th on the well testing that occurred in Polk County. There was the 2 watersheds, the 171 participants, and just the increase in coliform. There were 3 E. coli positives. So there's some things that Dane will talk about and kind of give you the full story of everything that happened with that well testing project. Other than that, it's October, and as Logan mentioned, he's done a great job getting everything organized and ready for his paternity leave. And we're not going to let him work at all when he's home with that little one. So I think we are in good shape for his team coming through to the end of October and working with the Sheriff's Department to have electronic citation ability, and then kind of just streamline that process for him and his team, because everyone in that office is going to have the ability to work through that process. It's not just one person trying to travel the whole 960 square miles anymore. There's geographic locations, and it just makes more efficient sense for everyone to have that ability.
Going back to the 911.
Yes.
It seems to have quieted down about all the address changing. We haven't.
Yes, we did have one address change up on, help me, Logan.
Jensen Road, I think it was, on the
Right.
east side of Ward Lake there. There was a new address proposed and there was no room for another address, so
Right.
it got changed.
And those are difficult, but according to the ordinance, we just don't really have the ability to avoid that law.
Yep.
And and just facilitated a few calls about that particular one.
About Farmington, that one's coming.
Oh, yeah, there's one aging in Farmington. That's only probably 10.
So Supervisor Kelly, just in time for you to say the comment, you maybe will get some.
Thanks a lot.
No, those aren't my districts.
Yeah, yeah. So you don't
I
share.
just have the city, but I could switch that. That's.
Yeah, that seems to be always a point of contention. So any questions for me at this time?
Was gonna give Logan an update. Everybody's been through it. We did it on Big Lake. We have a lot of get-togethers on Ward Lake, and it's come down on me, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And you try and explain it to them and what happened, and it was postponed from before and on and on. It actually is quieted a little right now,
Yeah.
so they're starting to understand.
Slow but sure.
But if somebody says something, then there's always someone that will speak up and say, yeah, they did this. or
They say it's for emergency
They
service.
put that big sign up. We didn't put that big sign.
How about, permits? Are they up or down? It seems like.
So I did pull some numbers this morning
Okay.
after September. Sanitaries were up substantially. Last year at this time, 277. This year we're at 311 and we have 11 pending. Land use permits approved at this time last year was 830. This year's 803, but we currently have 60 pending. So we've been getting a lot in the
Wow.
last
Yeah,
week or
it's
two.
like
So,
bow time.
Yeah.
surge.
The leaves are turning. Everybody decided they gotta work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is pretty busy in there yet, yeah.
Yes, it is. And working through a few other comments about the recent BOA case and just fielding some calls on that. But I see that Assistant Corporation Counsel Joe Schieffer just walked in. I wanted to point out that it's his 40th birthday today.
Oh,
Birthday.
Over the hill.
Any other questions for me?
say, there was another tower in Osceola and they didn't take it to the BOA yet.
No,
Okay,
No.
all right.
Whew.
All right. So for our next one,
You will have, again, that presentation from Dane Christensen on the
on the
well,
wells.
on the well testing. We will have a zoning district change, two zoning district changes that we know of right now. And we hopefully will have some information on the shoreline ordinance for you as well.
Okay.
Some
That tax deed updates would move to them too?
Tax deed Joe can talk about in his litigation update.
Oh, you're gonna do it then, okay. So we won't need to move it on, you hope?
Do you have a specific time for the?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, meet here at the traditional 9 o'clock start time.
Okay.
And transportation is provided, and then the tour will wrap up around between noon, depending, right, around noon at the Summers Lake area, and then there will be light lunch provided. I'm sorry, Sharon, I
Oh, I
think,
wish I could do
I
that.
know. We can give you a private tour at some other time.
Is there a bridge? I'm saying that for Tracy. We just
See if somebody can wear a gold.
Kennedy.
Wear a gold.
Yes.
Yeah, really.
And Madam Clerk is gonna take care of all the noticing.
Very
All right,
no.
so then that'll just, whatever it comes up will change, because there's nothing else really to the budget after then, is there, that we do in November on our meeting?
Not.
Considering it's November 5th, then
Morning,
you all are
he's morning.
putting it on the.
Feel that.
That's lethal. That highlighter, I'm sure, has gone wild down.
That's, but it isn't on there, see, so I got it on there.
Yeah, yeah. You need a new box yet?
I know what,
Box of highlighters yet?
I got, no, the clerk keeps them for me, I got boxes there. He's had to get them.
Got that for Christmas 2 years ago.
Then I got a box in my truck, so I'm. All right, number 16.
Funny.
I don't think we have to go into closed. Board of Adjustment has a new suit. We were served in maybe the end of August or the beginning of September, I'm not sure. An answer has been filed. Now we'll just wait for a scheduling meeting with, or hearing in front of the judge. So there's not really anything going on with that. It's a writ of cert, just like the rest of the Board of Adjustment stuff. So it'll be a review by the court of the decision of the adjustment. There's that. Then the nothing on the Stour, nothing on Force. So one litigation update I do have is in the class action against the state of Wisconsin and all the counties for the tax deed takings. The federal court has granted the motion to dismiss on one of the counts, which was the federal takings clause count, which was count number 3. So they sued under 3 different types of claim. One was the state takings clause, violation of the state constitution, violation of the state constitution for unreasonable fees or something to that effect, and then a federal takings clause, which is a violation of the US Constitution. The federal court found that it is outside of the statute of limitations. It applied a 3-year statute of limitations. The statute was changed in the state of Wisconsin back in 2022, so there have been no takings since that statute changed, so therefore there's nothing that they could be claiming. Therefore, their case was dismissed on that count. They then remanded it back to state court, so it's back in Waukesha County. I think until October 8th to potentially file an answer. I say I'm not doing any work on it. We have insurance counsel representing us. So October 8th, I think, is the date by which an answer is supposed to be filed. Whether or not that's going to get extended is up to the Waukesha court. And something else happening. Plaintiffs have until October 24th to appeal the federal decision to dismiss their third count. So that's really all that's going on there. We have a win to an extent, but the other 2 issues are coming back down to state court and will likely go to the Supreme Court. So right now it's at circuit court. It's going to sit and hang out there until a decision is made, and then it'll go up, and then it'll probably go up to the Supreme Court. Most likely, I guess.
Yay, so it'll be
So-
yours.
You're going to be hearing from me on this topic for the next couple of years.
Yes.
So still nothing on Stour. I don't see any indication that they're even close to making a decision.
They did on the other trail, though, the Rib Mountain Trail.
Yeah.
So they made a decision on that these groups can't come in 40 people and shut down a state trail. And here we said. I read that one, that they had
So
a
they
public
ruled out-
participation. We had twice what they had in public participation. And that's what they hung their hat on. So that was pretty crazy, but
And that's a standing argument where I think we're currently at is,
did we try to get Judge Black incompetent?
I thought he was retiring.
He did, but I tried that and they threw me out of the.
so whether or not that case has any bearing on our case is,
No, it doesn't, but if it goes through, it should, because then it's a case study there. Here's what it is.
and maybe that'll be something that then the Supreme Court, if we get a different ruling than that court,
Then they get back and do theirs.
different rulings, the Supreme Court may take up that issue then.
Yeah, because if whoever goes which way, the other one could go the other way. So it's just bizarre. Yes, who created this? Yes. All right,
There you go. That's all I know.
that's all we know. Well, 17.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye. Opposed?
This is the one,
Travels, Sharon. I hope it's a fun trip.
interactive budgeting.
Just kidding, that's
So they can